Recording in progress. I don't know if that's Siri or not who says that, but hello, everybody. It's office hours. It is Friday. I got to look at my calendar. It is Friday, April 29th on a stingy spring day. If you're listening from the Twin Cities Midwest market, you're lamenting the fact that spring is just resisting, and the rest of the country might be benefiting from it. But we're glad you're here. We're glad you're listening. We're going to do what we're supposed to do. What we promised everybody is open the door on what's going on in the fractional world, the small business world, and the critical discussions and ideas that are relevant to it. So today we have a very special guest, gentleman by the name of Brian Busch. And Brian's unique in that, he has made a business out of getting that technical story right. And that's not easy to do. And he's going to talk more, and I'll probably butcher the introduction, but as we like to say in this world, in the office hours world, we serve just about every business except the Fortune 2000, which is most of the businesses in America. And getting the story right is really hard. It is really hard. You want to make it harder? Be a technical brand. Have a product that's rather technical in nature. It makes it even harder. So Brian's going to shed some light on that today. And we're going to also, as we always do, we're going to BS. We're going to talk about things that are totally off topic. We're going to touch on other subjects, but I'm glad you're joining us for office hours today. Hello, Dave.
Hey, John. Hey, guys. Thanks for hanging out. We're super excited to have you all here. So per normal, we want to give Brian the floor. So Brian, if you want to talk to us a little bit about SEO or talk through some of the challenges that you have as a fractional exec in the communications and marketing world, and kind of how you work, and your address is Right Fun. So I know we're going to make it fun when we chat. So
yes,
this is going to be awesome. Thanks, man.
Yes. Yeah. So I like the title John gave me a few weeks back. It's Chief Creative Officer. And I think that's kind of neat. And I know a lot of you CMOs like to go for the whole marketing leadership aspect in the fractional world. I go for all the writing, right? I want to do the social. I want to tie in the social with the blog content, and I want to do the email blasts. And so what I do is I go in, and you have to show your samples, of course, show some of your past, but mostly you are a problem solver for the technical story, like John said. And sometimes it's really segmented. There's a lot of many verticals, I guess. When it comes to technology users, there's a beginner and there's an advanced user, right? So I write to the beginner, right? Because if I wrote to the advanced user, the beginner's not going to catch on.
Right.
So
It would
sometimes
be
people and coworkers on my team kind of get frustrated with that. They think, oh, you don't have to show every step, or you don't have to describe every single step. And I say, well, if I want to reach the biggest audience, I do. The advanced guy, he's going to have to deal with it. Yeah, it's easy for you, but I want to reach that bigger, both verticals, if you will. So
yeah, it's tricky, Brian, in that getting the story right and consistent is hard for anybody on any given day.
Right.
And then for some reason, Brian, you must kind of like punishment. I think that must be, because you've chosen not only that, right, as a writer and getting the story right, but for some reason you find yourself aligned with brands and companies that have a little bit more technical things. It's pretty easy to write for if you make Swedish fish, or flour, or chocolate chips, right? There's just not that much there. But boy, when you're in semiconductors and engine parts and medical things, first of all, tell us why you got there, and then maybe shed a little bit of light on how you've mastered that technical writing craft.
Well, when I came, I spent some years as a stay-at-home dad, and I had a journalism background, and I thought to myself, well, I'm kind of getting into this technology thing. It's the way to go. All the writing went onto the internet now, in the late 90s, all the articles kind of went there. And I thought, what? I got to get more technical oriented. And I thought, yeah, this is going to keep me employed. And I started to get an interest in writing the manual. And then that manual turned into more of a marketing bent. So
the manual for what? The manual for writing to the technical world we're in, or the manual for writing technical related content?
The IT software manual.
Got it. Okay. Got it.
Right. How to set up your system,
Mm-hmm.
how to do a download, how to add on another product, how to set up a new user, all those steps. So I blossomed from the technical know-how, the step-by-step, into more marketing the product, because I knew the intricacies, the inside of how it worked. I could describe it and give it a promotion with marketing content.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, go ahead. Sorry, I'm totally interrupting you.
And the problem, so one of the challenges is it can be dry material, right? We're not writing about going out having a good time or something you can really pump up. It's just how that technology works. And so I sometimes I have to fight that too. I'm like, oh, this is dry, and what angle am I going to use? And it can make for a long writing process sometimes, just to get that right angle. So one of the challenges I face. And sometimes I'm given work because I feel like no one else wants to, or there's no one else who can do it.
Mm-hmm.
So do what no one else will, and you will have work, right?
That's right.
How do you know, Brian, when the story is technical in nature? What are your, maybe, how do you know when people get it right? What are your cues there? Like, okay, I can tell when it's wrong because of this, and I can tell when it's right because of that. Is it just keeping it down to a small length? Is it meeting people at the same level of technical expertise that you are? How do you know when you're getting that technical story right?
Well, it comes from feedback. I think customer feedback is the best thing. And a lot of times the technical guy is kind of the fixer, right? He's called on when, oh, we got feedback that they don't understand the manual, or we're getting feedback that these procedures take too long, or simplify it, simplify. So, because a manager asks you, or because you're getting the customer feedback. So it's important to have that connection, like you guys talk about, you guys post about, sales coordinating with marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Know what sales is going through, know the challenges, know the objections they have, and then write to the objections. Say, I understand what you're going through, a little bit of empathy, right? I understand what you've gone through. Now we're going to show you this.
So interesting in that even though you have a more technical in nature product to write about, that the other side of the table, the rules still apply. I don't have a ton of time. I need it shrunk down for me. I've got other things begging for my attention. Those sound to me like ways that you get it right.
Sure.
This is an interesting topic at an interesting time, and it's interesting because of my crazy co-host Dave.
Mm-hmm.
There's two. As I was thinking about this show today, I was thinking there's now two dimensions when you think about technical writing.
Mm-hmm.
And the first dimension, Brian, that's the province of Brian Busch, right? Writing it right, and authoring it right, and understanding the customer and what they want and how they feel about it. That's that. I'm 54 years old. So when I started in marketing and advertising, there were basically four mediums: print, radio, TV, and the internet wasn't even there, right? I mean, there was, what was the other one? What, billboards? I don't know.
Email.
And there was, what's that?
Email was still kind of in its infancy.
Email was in its infancy, right? So, and there was, from a technical standpoint, it was in between the brand and the consumer. And of course, Brian, you're there to sort of create that communication link. But now we've got a different dimension, right? And Dave, maybe you want to touch on this. Now we've got algorithms picking through our words. We've got ranking happening with words. We design websites not just for the reader. We design it for Google and math and science. And it's a little bit of a mind-blowing thing. And I wonder if you both of you have some thoughts on how small businesses can work harder to get that right, because it's not easy.
Yeah, and I want to cue this up for Brian, because he and I had a great conversation about this a month ago, where we talked about, the difference between technical and making sure that your content is still findable, right? So the hardest thing that it seems like for a lot of my clients, or as we're writing things in marketing for manufacturing, construction, business services, is that Google and writing for search engines is really the art of providing copy in a way that makes it findable when you're being searched. And that's slightly different than how we talk, and a whole lot different than how we deliver content in a technical perspective. Molly mentioned, that hyperlink colors in text manuals, kind of fool you. So when you're looking and you're reading text, or manuals for tech stuff, if you see something blue, you're just kind of automatically drawn to want to click on it. And if you're doing SEO right, it should feel like an extension of knowledge especially when you're doing technical stuff, like technical writing, like Brian does. If you've got a lot of great content, I think the pro and the con of the content is you've got a lot of great stuff, and the more technical and more specific your audience is, the more you can drill down, and you can kind of count on people searching for, that particular brand of widget or tool or solution. But at the same vein, you have to make it accessible to get findable on ranked keywords as well. So there are a lot of things that people will search on, and a very narrow range of what some of these things work on. So Brian, how do you strike that balance between making it findable and actually speaking the jargon that your audience needs?
Vernacular, Dave. It's vernacular, not jargon. Us writers, it's vernacular or lexicon. Don't you jargon us.
Jargon. Adding more syllables doesn't make it
lexicon or vernacular. That's the writer in me coming out.
That's a good question, Dave. I think you have to strike a balance. You've got to put in that looser language without getting too loose later in your content. More of that conversational language, so that you're out of the tech speak, you're out of the jargon. It's got to have a good blend. And I think I've been doing that lately with my current client. And, there's a balance. We talked about SEO and kind of dual marketing I brought up the example of a bigger company hosting a conference. You've got a smaller product, right? You're at the conference, but it's not yours. You research the best keyword, the highest volume keyword, and it tends to promote the bigger company more than yours. Is there a danger in your own content of promoting that bigger hosting company of that conference? Now you're partners, but you're a little guy. You got to build your thing up too. So how would you do that, John? If you're two companies hosting a conference, the best SEO volume is going to promote the bigger one. Are you left in the dust? I mean,
well, that's a good question. Are you left in the dust? If you stay there for a minute, Molly's writing a comment that I want to talk about, but we're going to come to that in a minute because it's very funny. But it begs a good question. So let's put ourselves on the other side of the table. A $20 million business that's like every business that's not on the Fortune 2000 that's trying to grow and doing all the complex, difficult things they need to get there. They not only have to think about the difficulties of learning from their customers and adjusting their product and dealing with all the things. They have to think about 3 dimensions now. Can we get this story right just between us and our customer? Can we get this story right for Google and algorithms? And now, and I think the second two are kind of related, can we get this story right for artificial intelligence? And I feel and I fear that because the last two are very technical in nature, they're harder to do. And I'm not saying, Brian, what you do, like getting the message out and getting it right is easy, because absolutely it's not. But now you have to craft it for three dimensions. And I feel like a lot of people just punt on it. I don't have the time or capacity to learn this, understand it. I'm not going to deal with it. And that can actually put you at a competitive disadvantage.
Right.
And so I worry that there's too much dimensions for the small business crew, part of our economy, which, by the way, just so we're anchored, is 50% of the American GDP and 90% of our workforce.
Yep.
So it's no small thing. And that's something that I think that's in their way a little bit.
Now picture yourself as a small business that depended on trade show marketing that's gone right now.
Boom.
And you've got to do a digital shift.
Yeah.
And you're just overwhelmed. It takes Google 6 months to catch up with you. I mean, you're just overwhelmed.
Right. Well, I want to bring back something that John brought up and Brian on the specific issue of how to rank against big time competitors, especially if you're promoting an event that they're running. The answer for a small business is definitely not, as John said, to ignore it. Right. So if you're promoting a conference and you're mentioning a keyword that's featured at that conference, there's nothing but upside for you to get to jump onto the bandwagon for that keyword. So you're going to show up more likely if you jump onto their cart and follow along with them, right? So if they're gonna own the keyword anyway, and it's probably going to link back to something with them, if you can jump onto that, you're going to get some of that keyword ranking. I want to show you an example on this for a second.
Visuals.
Because I do this all the time, specifically for a huge, massive company that we do a lot of work with, and that is HubSpot. So if I Google myself or my company and HubSpot, here's what shows up. I'd go BusyWeb HubSpot and BusyWeb agency services and qualifications, HubSpot approved. This goes to HubSpot's website. If I click to this HubSpot website, guess what? Oops, I got to go back on this.
You're logged in. Look at that.
I'm logged in. So I need to log in this, but this goes back to my business, right? So this is a directory page for myself that has all of our wonderful ratings and all that stuff. But, no big whoop on that, except for looking at all of the things that I'm doing. If people are searching for HubSpot, we actually show up pretty well now just on HubSpot. And like if I search for inbound Minneapolis, that's another thing that I do a lot of. And that I show up in because I've entered the conversation enough times. So was there a chance for me to completely 100% own that keyword? No, but am I going to be able to be in that realm just by entering the conversation? Yep. And especially if people are searching for that conference, Brian, you're going to show up in that conference because people are searching for that keyword and you're adding content. And Molly is sending messages in here and posting. Most people don't know enough about SERPs, search engine results pages, and how all of this SEO stuff works. So if you can do anything, you're going to have a much higher likelihood of showing up than if you just bury your head in the sand and say, well, there's no way I'm going to win.
That's huge. Stay there for a second, Dave. And Molly was pointing this out too. If you're going to walk away, if you're one of the businesses that's not on the Fortune 2000, you struggle with this issue. If that is you, don't think that you have to master this whole technical side of things. First of all, you get Brian to write your stuff. That's actually easier. But don't think you have to understand the algorithms, what Google wants, and all this technical, new dynamic that's in place. There's probably 2 or 3 things. If you can just take a little step into it without trying to think you have to master it, Dave, like you said, if you can do any of this,
right,
you're going to put yourself at an advantage. So I'll ask either of you guys, are there 2 or 3 things like just be good at doing this, this, and this? What would that be?
I love this. And it actually ties right into a question that Jan just asked. How can I learn the likely keywords associated companies are using so I can enter their conversation? It's all about becoming a smart searcher. And Molly mentioned this a little bit about entering keyword operators and things inside of there. But if I search for my company, or if I search for my keyword, let's call it, I don't know, let's do inbound marketing. Oops, I got to spell it right. Minneapolis. Ooh, Appolis. Boy, I'm good at the typing today.
So we're while you're typing, we're staying in that area of tip number one.
Right.
Be a smart searcher.
How am I finding?
Lay that on us, brother.
Right. So Busy Web shows up number 3 in the search. Great, fantastic, wonderful. Here's the easiest thing to do. So first, search for that keyword and notice who is showing up. There's some maps things that evidently I need to tweak on a little bit. So, but then look at who is showing up and look at what they're doing. So click and follow those links. But then here's my favorite way to enter the conversation. Look at related searches. Google is telling you all of the keywords that you should focus on if you want to get access into similar searches. So this is something that I can absolutely dig deeper into. Molly mentioned search operators, looking at how to combine things. So if you do inbound marketing, or let's do something easier. So let's do, I don't know, name an industry, and then we can play with this because this is where it gets fun.
Cheese. The cheese industry.
Cheese, curds. And I'm not going to do near me, but let's go cheese curds, Minneapolis.
God bless
If
it.
I want cheese curds and I want to have the exact right keyword where it actually says cheese curds, I put quotes around it. If I want cheese curds and delivery, I put that in here, right?
There's some people asking you to share your screen, Dave.
Oh my God, I should probably do that.
That's right. Sometimes we treat this like a radio show and we forget we have the added benefit of visual.
And I literally forgot that I stopped.
That's okay. Dave, we love you. There's no, it's all. Oh,
so throwing cheese curds around, or let's go back to something that Molly just mentioned. And Molly, you're authorized to talk if you want to jump in on this. But Molly just mentioned if I want to search a specific site to see what kinds of things they have out. So she did this one, which is great. Site : searches everything on a specific site. HubSpot.com, file type, and then : PDF.
Look how technical
if
this
I want to search for a specific keyword in PDFs, social media.
I have not searched this. I just made this one up.
Let's see how it goes.
Figuring it would work. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the results, but
how to drive success in accelerated age of blah, blah, blah. So this is how all of that stuff shows up. You can also get at all of these just by clicking on tools, by the way. So you can search different times. You can search different results. And under, actually, where is that now? They just moved it. The search stuff, like the different operators. Actually, here, this is an easy way to do it. Search operators.
Moz has got a really great article on how to combine these things too.
Right. So
Ahrefs, yeah,
has a great one. So the complete list of like hardcore search tools.
I got that.
Oh my God.
Search term, or
I have these like printed out on my wall.
Oh yeah. Yeah. This
is
an
absolute rabbit hole. Look at this.
So I'm going to chat this in to our chat for everybody here, but it's ahrefs.com, or if you just Google search operators and pop this in, you're going to come up with this article. It's the top one. But
so I'm gonna
combine them is the key.
And you combine them. Yeah. So you absolutely go to town on this. I want to bring this back to one thing, because I think in this conversation, and Brian, you have a hard stop in like 10 minutes. So I want to make sure that you've got the technical side on this. So give me 2 minutes and then I'm going to jump back to you. Okay. So I want to talk about quick how search works. As most of us know, I'm a speaker for Google. And so this is one of the things that I'm authorized to talk about for Google, but it's as much what I can't say as what I can. And that's how I'm authorized to do that, because they tell me what I can't say as much. But here's how things work in Google. You type in a keyword search, right? And then there are text ads, there's organic results, which is what we're talking about here. Then if you search for your business, you also have a business profile. This is also what shows up on Google Maps. So how all this stuff works is Google downloads a copy of the entire web, and it plays matchmaker between the absolute best searches and what you're looking for. So the best search results and what you're looking for. So if you Googled for yoga pants in this example, and it gave you something terrible, you would never go back to Google again. So Google's job is to be as useful as possible, which is why there are so many rules and algorithm tips and tricks, things like recency, how recent an article was updated. So having a website that's updated constantly is super helpful. The direct match, how authoritative that website is. Does it have any links inside of it from other places and all that, right? So having that in can be very, very helpful. And then to optimize, all you need to do is make sure that your content shows up correctly. And this is a great overview guide. I'm going to chat this to everybody as well, because I want to give Brian a tip here or a time to do stuff here. But if you go to g.co/SEO starter guide, this is the basics of what you need to know. But if I could put it all into one simple phrase, it's this: be as useful as possible to the people that are looking for your business before they know your name. That's it. What would people need to type if they were going to find you? And so you have to focus on your services. You have to focus on your products. You have to focus on the things that Brian does, right? Yeah. So
you're going to have to write that down.
Yeah.
But the reason John chose,
yeah,
and the reason John chose cheese, I just wanted to stop and point this out, because he has two boys. Well, actually, one who did and one who is attending school in Cheese USA.
Totally. It's coming to an end, though.
That's right.
Brian,
Right.
In a week he graduates. Where am I going to get my cheese curds?
Oh gosh, it is coming to an end.
I'm telling you, everybody who's listening and on the call, the Burnett Creamery, I'm saying those are the top cheese curds. I'm just flat out making a statement that's going to get us in a lot of trouble. People are going to write in. Before you go, Brian, there's the getting the story right and getting it right. How do you approach this? Because do you have to do both for your clients? Do they like, Brian, you got to get our technical story right, and you got to please the bots, for lack of a better term. Everything Dave went through is like bots to me. You got to please the machinery.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to give a tip number 2 to small business. You know, you talk about small business, and we're partners with that, and we want to help them. You'd be surprised at the number of $5 to $10 million size companies that don't have a success story to turn into a case study.
Mm-hmm. Or they all have successes, but they haven't shared it, right? Or
they haven't written it down. They don't have the old emails from that great installation on site that worked out so well and avoided a big problem because it was a great upgrade. Well, do you have the notes on that? I mean, so many small companies don't keep track of that, but everyone's in marketing. Everyone's got to look out for the story, pass it along. And it's hard for me. I say, give me the ingredients to build a story that your customers are going to eat.
Right.
You know, if I don't have that meal, I don't need the ingredients to make that meal. So
it's one of the disadvantages growing businesses are at. And as an advocate for every business that's off the Fortune 2000 list, I have to speak up for them and say the nature of growth is you're dealing with imperfect information at a higher speed than most other companies.
Mm-hmm.
And you are building, and you have to leave a lot of stuff behind because there isn't time to collect the things and do all that. Not necessarily time or the resources. The nature of a small business, until you are acquired or sold, guess what? You're understaffed. Mm-hmm. Just plan on being understaffed because that's the nature of growth. And so there's, I think it's a little bit, so I'm going to get on a little bit of a grind here, but I think it's kind of unfair with this in that they would love to provide you with that, Brian. They would love, if I had the ability to give you everything you need to sharpen that technical pencil. Mm-hmm. And Dave, if I had everything to give you what you need to get us found in search,
right,
I would give every small bit. I would put it on a platter and dump it on your lap so fast if I had it.
Right.
And the reason they don't have it, you can't go back in time. So my question is, how do you guys deal with people where they are? It's real time and space. They didn't collect it. They didn't have time. right? They didn't collect all the emails and all that kind of stuff. How do you help them move forward from where they are, dealing with them as they are that day? Because you're never going to get it, right? You're never going to get the legacy stuff that you would really like.
Right
Carve
on.
out time with the owner. The person closest to the sale or the person closest to the product tells the best story. That's the
Yeah.
SME.
That's
the SME.
that's
I'm just
great.
putting it into words what the SME already knows.
Right. Well, and I want to
Brilliant.
do a plug for Brian quick before he does have to go, because the difference between having someone that knows how to write and just hiring somebody for cheap off of Fiverr or going to
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
it's the same thing as wanting to go out to a super fancy meal, right? You can go to Burger King and go out to eat.
Yep.
And apologies if you're a Burger King aficionado, but or you can go to a 5-star chef. Brian is a 5-star chef. And here's what businesses also forget about. They think, oh crap, I need to hire a 5-star chef on staff in order to have the meals that I need once in a while. You don't. You need to hire Brian fractionally and have him do just the content that you need, just the content that's right, that's actually going to get you where you need to go. Right? You don't need to have a full-time person for that. And some businesses do, but most businesses, certainly in the markets that we're talking about, in the small construction, commercial, business services areas, you don't need a full-time person. You just need a great person to help give you that perfect content just that you need. So it's not nearly as expensive as you fear, especially not if you're thinking about hiring somebody. Brian, you're worth 100 times what you're going to charge, but people don't need to hire a $100,000 person a year to come in and do it. You're doing $250,000 a year work at whatever you're charging on a fractional basis.
Right.
Brian, what's your next meeting?
Oh, I'm in a group for a new virtual healthcare site, and I'm a contributor to the articles on a site called Health 6 Fit.
Sweet.
And
Very cool.
yeah, it's virtual office work where a doctor can pay $55 a month for a year and actually do like remote patient monitoring and different things online in a whole new virtual world. This is the guy that taught Hyundai Motor America how to do a virtual tour of a car by opening up the doors and spinning it around. And now he's got a virtual thing for healthcare. His name is Paul Epstein. He's out in Vegas, and he was a teacher at UCLA. So he used to be a writer himself, and he's going to monetize. I'm going to get some affiliate links if I can get memberships.
Very cool.
Yeah. So, and they go at 1:30. So I'm about 5 minutes over, but hey, it's been great, guys.
Yeah.
Dude, come back for another one and tell us how that went. We're all curious about this virtual tour of the doctor's office.
Yeah.
That's super
All
cool.
right.
Thank you, Brian. We're going to continue
you.
on with office hours.
Yes.
And thank you, Brian, for joining us. And we'll continue on with office hours. We've got a lot of questions and a lot of things to talk about. So I'm going to back us up for a minute, Dave, and Molly and Jen, you're certainly welcome to jump in on this. Here's what I'm going to say about this whole getting the story right and being and the technical side of it. You can, if you're a company and you need that done right, you can very easily go to Dave or you can go to Brian. You can get that done for you. You can. And that's why you got, it's necessary, right? When we searched for cheese curds earlier in the call, you can see that there are companies like we're doing this. I think Red Cow was in there. Like they're engaging in that because they know what matters, how they do it. But it's still kind of tough. Molly had mentioned earlier, no one knows how to do this stuff. This is complicated stuff. Right. Dave, when you pulled up some help for it, it's a quick rabbit hole. And if you're a small business, your eyes sort of gloss over. Right. I think that there's I would like to talk to the Google people about this. There's an interesting bill in the Minnesota House, and I know it's been in other states as well. It's called the right to repair. And this will come around to a point. The right to repair basically is a bill that says in the ag business, things have become so complicated that you can no longer fix your own tractor. You have to take it to the dealer. And mostly I think it's because of some stuff that John Deere did.
Yep.
And John Deere said, hey, if we make this impossible to fix, you got to take it to John Deere. We're going to make money. you tell farmers they can't work on their own stuff, you're going to get a fight on your hands. And that's literally what's happening. I think this is true in this world too, a little bit, is the world of getting out there with Google and with, search engines and all that. It's very similar, isn't it? It's too complex for your average business, which is most businesses, to get their arms around. And there's a little bit of injustice there, I think.
Certainly to the casual searcher and to the casual business owner. And a big part of what I do is I'm on the road trying to help people figure this out and to decode some of that stuff. I have some tools that I'll share in a little bit if we get time. Jan, I know that you had some general questions, and I know Molly's a whiz at this stuff too, so I'm sure she's going to have lively additions to the conversation. But are there things that you're looking for help on and how to optimize or upgrade?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, so thanks for the opportunity to ask questions, and the whole presentation is intriguing. When I was in clinical trial marketing, on my team, I had a SEO guy. And when we would have our weekly recaps on what kind of traffic did we get to our site and to our call centers and all the things we needed for this clinical trial, he would report what words we bought, how much we spent, and which of those avenues, because we had them all coded, which ones produced X amount of traffic and results. So we knew, okay, this word didn't work, this word, or this station, or the different media platforms were working or not working. And we would change it up accordingly. I'm thinking about that as a backdrop to your conversation a minute ago about cheese curds and Googling those pieces right besides it now needing cheese curd. Is not a client I would have, but for my business, starting it out, I don't need the kind of volume of hits that General Mills does, or Amazon, big houses. I just need the right few selective people to find me. So I still need to be findable. I love the way you said that about, people that find you before you say your name. I thought good
That
to
is
know.
good stuff.
But so when I take my background in search engine optimization and my need to get my little biz going, how would I find the keywords I should be including in my content that the others are going to be putting in to find what they need as a solution, which I'm supposed to fulfill? How will they find me without me knowing what they're going to say?
You couldn't have asked a better question, because I have a slide ready for you right here.
I knew it, Dave.
I want to talk.
Dave, God bless you. So,
yes.
So Dave, before you pop that open.
Yeah, go ahead.
Dave, before you pop that open, and I want you to, is Dave has been on this is why we've worked together and our friends, is Dave cares about the small businesses, and he always snack sizes this and shrinks it down, Jen, even for businesses of our size. People think this is the province of $500,000 to $1 million to a $10 to a $20 million business, and that's just not so. But you do need a Dave to snack size it and bring it down to the 15 million businesses that are under 10 employees.
And I think about that real quick is even for all of us that are in fractional, starting fractional, or there was a call this morning where one guy was sort of a brilliant CFO, but going, I don't know about this fractional thing. And we all collectively have to remember, we only need a few clients at a time and a few in the pipeline.
5.
I don't need, even though I would love to be flattered with, 100 people that wanted to work with me.
Yep.
I just need quality ones that fill the pipeline and my day.
That's it.
So I try to remember that so that we don't get overwhelmed or even discouraged.
Yep.
So all that, and then how are they going to find me? I'm going to, of course, do my proactive work, but for this discussion, how do they find me after I get the site up and running?
Right.
Lay it on us, Dave.
I think one of the things, and Molly brought this up, is to think about search intent. But one of the easiest ways to find common search phrases that people are looking for, by using Google's tools. So Google has this fantastic tool called Google Trends, and I'm actually going to open up a new tab with this. Google. Whoops. What is that domain? I should know it because g.co/trends. Yep, they make it so easy for me. So you go to g.co/trends,
Yeah.
and then you type in any keyword you're looking for. So Jan, what's the industry that you're interested in going into or getting more views from?
Manufacturing.
Okay, so manufacturing. Let's type that in. And what I've got here is how many searches are coming in the of this specific search term, right? So over the past 12 months, now I don't care about US wide. I want to know in Minnesota. So I type that in and then it tells me where I am. There's plenty of searches here. So related topics is what Google's giving me. So integrated circuits, computer numerical control, production line, S5S methodology.
Dave, can we say what get in the box where we put
Mhm.
manufacturing? Can one say manufacturing operations?
Yes, for sure. So I
The
can,
owner, the owner's realized his hair's on fire, the whole thing is going south.
Yeah.
I need help operationally.
yep, manufacturing operations,
Look at that.
topic,
There we go.
companies, dig down. Now I'm only Minnesota, so I'm not getting a ton, but I'm seeing on a scale of 0 to 100 how popular my search is. And you can see that manufacturing operations is kind of petering out, and we expect that it's going to go down to 37 over the next few days, whatever.
So does that mean to me then my analysis, maybe that's not a sexy word. That's not really what they're using to look
Mhm.
for?
Correct.
What does Jan
So-
do with this operation in relation to her pipeline?
So what you do is you look at most popular areas and you look at most popular topics, and you make sure that you have those topics, those popular topics on your website. So
So
what you're trying to do,
literally, Jan
Yeah.
needs to talk about Six Sigma on our website.
it's a huge keyword inside of that space, right? Inside of operations management. So I go here into Six Sigma, for example, and then it's going to help me keep driving down. Waste, course, standard deviation, operations management. It's telling me all kinds of stuff that I might want to also include on my website.
And
Now,
right there on the interest,
Yeah.
that is the number of companies in those towns that searched for that in Minnesota?
just the amount of searches. So
Yeah.
the search volume, 0 to 100.
They're not unique.
Being no search interest or volume. And so what we're seeing is it's trending up and down over time. And I can do past 12 months, I can do past 30 days, and it gets me much more granular, right? I can go much wider, go all the way to the US and see how that's going. That gives me more detail. And then I can compare it. So if I'm thinking Six Sigma versus what's another manufacturing,
Just in time? I don't know.
yeah, JIT. Right? So Six Sigma versus just in time, whatever. And you can see this versus each other. And then it'll also tell me which states are more popular, or which states these search terms are most popular in. So I might want to do some South Dakota marketing, because that seems to be the hottest market right now for Six Sigma. So
Who knew? Who knew? I didn't know that.
And
And then
also,
likewise, you can go back to the top and mess around. Let's say I want,
Mhm.
maybe I decide I should try manufacturing infrastructure.
yes.
I can, because now I'm kind of guessing what they might have said,
Mhm.
and I can see if they were saying that.
And Molly just gave me another tool here. So this is a little bit nerdier, but it's an API tool that you can use to dig into specific Google Trends details. So we'll keep that as a side.
It's Dave, could you stay here and Jan, well, one quick question and then for Jan, can you see total? So I see your indexing, like, is it high or low, but
Mhm.
are you able to show or display the actual number of searches in Minnesota for manufacturing?
So in order to do that, you would want the keyword research tool. And
Okay.
in order to have that, you have to have a Google Ads account. You don't have to have a paid account. You do have to have Google Ads though.
So
And
Jan,
Friends, you don't.
keyword planner. I go into that, and then it's on Google. So I
Yep.
need to be logged into my ads account. So I would have to log in. I'm not going to log into my account on a recorded line. But you go in there and you can get your own free Google account, and it'll tell you all of those things.
So Dave and I, for a long time, have been talking about creating something called Business in a Box for fractionals.
Mhm.
And this is probably something that will surface again. But staying inside of Jan in your pipeline, you know, you could, I mean, if you take it to Minnesota and let's say, you know, Dave, let's just do you know, manufacturing solutions. Just give me that term for comparison.
Mhm.
And the reason I say that is, you know, that might be that kind of language might be more somebody who's having an issue.
Mhm.
I'm
So-
thinking about the conversational comments that were made earlier. Make your narrative a narrative, not
Mhm.
just technical
Yeah.
speak.
Right.
And if you are you going to put Kaizen? See, you're in the into the lexicon now.
Yeah, because it told me to
Mhm.
search Six Sigma, Udemy, Six Sigma meeting, DMAIC. I don't know. That's some other body of some sort, I'm assuming.
So Jan, for your pipeline, right? We're trying to fill your pipeline with people who are having operations issues.
Mhm.
This can be a tool that can help you at least show up
Mhm.
when they're
Yeah,
out there using
fascinating.
Google to solve their problem. And Dave, I think the insight from you is small moves, man. You do not have to master this thing. There's like just a couple of things you can do with your website. Dave, does it also have the same effect for Jan's LinkedIn or other digital presences?
It would, and you can dig deeper. There's all kinds of analytics that you can do on LinkedIn as well. And the best thing to do on that is to Google it. But the other thing that I want to get to is, let's say we are interested in Six Sigma. Simply Googling that Six Sigma, showing up or seeing what shows up and what kind of content is there, as well as, again, that's this related searches down at the bottom. This tells us kind of what else people are looking at.
Are
And
those really things that people put in or that Google thought would be related?
no, this is what people are also searching for
Okay.
if they're searching for Six Sigma. So Lean
That could
Six
inform
Sigma,
us.
obviously, I click on that and then I can scroll down and then it gives me other stuff inside of here. It's a super easy way to get lots more detail on what some of this stuff can do.
Is there a product that Google makes where I can see how many hits I got? Like I did it.
Google,
when I
yes.
did it?
Yep, Google Analytics is free and it does this, or it does that very easily.
Okay.
You just have to install, it's g.co/analytics, and you can see all kinds of data. It's completely free. And if you use WordPress or if you use like Squarespace or any of the big content management systems, it's a one-click install on Google Analytics. And actually, I can show you what that looks like. Let me go into
When I come to you for HubSpot, we can figure it out too, right?
Right, exactly. But if I go, where is that bad boy?
I just love the tools. I just think
Yeah.
it's outrageous.
The tool, well, okay, so yeah, here. Where's my analytics slide?
Meanwhile, Molly's over here writing a.
She's giving us all, yeah.
Oh
Well,
my
it
God,
probably
Molly,
gives like
writing a
search volume
guide for
IO.
this.
I
is
forgot about that.
amazing.
That's super fun.
Yep.
So let me pop that up. But while it loads, I have an analytics slide in here somewhere. I know I do. Maybe it's in a different presentation. Trends, test my site, Search Console. Search Console is great, by the way. Once you get analytics installed, using Google Search Console to dig deeper and find everything that Google is seeing on your website, as well as that does give you recommendations on keywords without using ads, the ads tools. So it's super, super fun. But let me preview the keyword search volume tool. So let's go back to Six Sigma and just hit enter. And it gives us the search volume. And actually, this is going to download a CSV. So if I open that up, I would have to open up a new window.
Is this nation? How big is this data set? Is this just Minnesota, Dave?
This
United
is going to give
States.
us national,
Got it.
right?
So Jan, you need 5 customers that have manufacturing issues this year.
Right? And,
That's it.
and that's all I want. That's all I want. It can't,
That's all you need.
yeah.
Right.
Yep. So there's more than enough.
Well, they
That's-
have to pay too. They have to pay their bill.
Right, right. So if I'm looking, I can look for, Six Sigma something, or, manufacturing, and I can keep drilling down into this tool over the past 5 years to see where it's going. Like, is it trending up or down? All different kinds of categories. So in arts and entertainment, obviously we want business and industrial. And then the different kinds of search, web, image, news. So this will tell me what's trending in the news as far as what this is. So again, Minnesota seems to be kind of a hot spot for Six Sigma, and looks like Texas and Arkansas are hotter for Kaizen than they are Six Sigma.
Mhm.
So
Dave?
yeah.
You're in a rabbit hole and I love it. But
Oh,
I'm
it's
gonna back out.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna back out for a second.
Yeah.
Dan, do you have a website or do you use LinkedIn as your website?
I am still working on it. I just got my name registered, so now I can get going.
Let's talk for a minute about how this, and I didn't mean to cut you off, Dave, but I think a lot of the same stuff applies, because whenever your website is done, it's done, but your LinkedIn is up there right now and things can happen.
Mhm.
So as it relates to your pipeline. So Dave, do you have, for those who are just using LinkedIn as their digital presence,
Mhm.
do you have counsel on how to do kind of everything you just said and make it apply to that channel?
Yeah. And actually, I think what I'd like to do for that, we've got like 7 minutes left.
Okay.
And so for the recorded audience, I want to just give us a quick update and pimp this out to say that next week we've got Ben Wolf coming up, and
Oh,
he's going to be
Ben.
talking about how to succeed as a fractional leader. So we're going to get kind of bigger picture. And if you want to take control and be a authentic and proactive leader in the organizations that you're working with as a fractional, Ben is going to give us some fantastic content. We had a great chat. And so next Friday, May 6th.
Next Friday is Ben.
Yep.
So get to that show, everybody, because Ben, I've been talking to Ben for over a year now. He, like us, he was very early into this business model. And so his, like anybody who gets into things early, are accumulated tips and wisdom and intelligence is really, really high. And Ben has a lot of it. So that's a really good show to get to.
Yeah. So for our recording audience, thank you all for hanging out with us. We're going to go into some deeper dives now with office hours. That's one of the benefits for joining live. So make sure that you join us live next time if you're watching this as one of the hundreds of folks that